Are trans women really women? Are they really female? Because if you think yes, then we belong competing with other women.
You're right. We can't consider you a woman in every way and then tell you that you can't be in women's sports. So then my response to that would be, let's just take woman out of your title altogether.
Stop policing who counts as a real woman.
I am a woman.
I am female.
Trans women are natural women.
Trans women are women.
I am a woman. That's a fact.
At some point, you've got to stop worrying about people's feelings and just call a spade a spade.
He's unbothered.
What's up, everybody? Ty Rivera here, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world. So I know that this is going to be a somewhat controversial statement, but I really do think we need to stop calling trans women women, because the line has become so blurred for the activist and the extremist that I don't feel like that being the politically correct term is the proper way to go about this anymore. When you have social and professional consequences happening not only to celebrities but also to everyday people for just trying to acknowledge people's biology and saying that there is a way that we're born, and as much as we may not like that in certain cases, you still are what you are, and it is not hateful or anti-trans to just say that you are what you are. To me, we should go with what is currently being referred to as trans women being referred to as trans identifying males, and trans men being referred to as trans identifying females. If you don't understand what I'm saying, a trans identifying male is a person that is biologically male but identifies as a trans woman, except for the word woman will no longer be involved with that. It will now just be a trans identifying male. And then a trans identifying female is a person that is biologically female but identifies as trans, and again, this implies trans man, but no longer carries the title of man. Because I should not be in any way compelled to live in the land of make-believe with people that just refuse to accept their own biology. I mean, we all have at some point probably played imaginary tea party, but if the child actually believes that there is tea in that empty little plastic teapot, there will come a point where you have to be like, look, we're just playing make-believe right now. So I'm not trying to disrespect you. I'm just saying that we still on some level have to live in reality. And I say this because Macy Gray, for example, was a person who got in trouble because she said
women go through just a completely unique experience, and surgery or you know, finding yourself doesn't change that. You know, being a little girl is a whole epic book, you know, and you can't have that just because you want to be a woman.
And then a bunch of trans activists got mad at her for saying that. Well, there's nothing wrong with saying that, just like there's nothing wrong with saying that growing up trans is its own experience. There are certain things that you will go through as a trans person that a lot of us won't be able to relate to because we have not lived that experience. So the same way that I wouldn't take that experience away from you, I also don't think that we should take that experience away from biological men and women. And a biological female should never have to argue whether their own experience is something different than a trans woman's experience, or whether or not trans women are able to have periods. We all know that trans women are not having periods. I hate to be the one to break it to you. No matter how many hormones you take, you are not going to menstruate. And there is nothing wrong or hateful about saying that, even though by certain people it'll get labeled as transphobia. Carlos Santana just got in trouble because he said,
quote, "When God made you and me before we came out of the womb, you know who you are and what you are." He later said, because a woman is a woman and a man is a man.
Well, that's considered to be a transphobic statement. There's no reason that should be a transphobic statement. I think we should all take pride in what it is that we are. When we talk about celebrating diversity and when we talk about how great it is to be something different, but then anytime you acknowledge the difference, that's considered hate, I don't really know what it is we're celebrating or what it is we're trying to tell people to take pride in. If we're saying that there is such thing as is trans pride, but then we're also saying that there's no difference between a trans person and a biological person. Where's the trans pride in that? Or where is even the acknowledgement that a particular person is trans? And when it comes to trans women in sports, I'll believe that there's no difference between a male and a female when we have trans men chomping at the bit to be competing against biological males, and not only competing against biological males, but crushing them the way that trans women have been crushing women's sports.
As a man, she was finishing 200, 300, 400. Now she is finishing first. Which shows to me, if she had been born female in the first place, she would not be succeeding the way she is succeeding now.
There are differences between trans women and real women. So it now has become the argument.
Are trans women really women? Are they really female? Because if you think yes, then we belong competing with other women.
You're right. We can't consider you a woman in every way and then tell you that you can't be in women's sports. So then my response to that would be, let's just take woman out of your title altogether. Since obviously you don't understand that we are basically doing suspension of disbelief and saying, okay, this is what you identify as. I'm going to address you as a woman and just put on the prefix of trans woman. But that's not good enough for you. Now you've got to be the same as a regular woman. And sometimes people ask why it's always trans women that are trying to invade female spaces and not trans men trying to invade male spaces. And the reason for that is because trans women are bigger, are stronger, and can really impose their will on genetic females because of those factors. When it comes to trans men, it's not going to work out the same if trans men try to completely take over men's spaces, because biologically we are bigger, we are stronger, and we will be able to push them out of our spaces with clearer aggression if they decide to overstep their bounds. So I really feel like it is the solution to go with trans identifying male, because that acknowledges both the biology as well as the self-identification. I have no problem with people identifying as anything that they want to identify as. I've had trans friends for over 30 years myself now, and I very much do respect them, and I very much do respect their journeys. But I don't know a single one of my trans friends that would have a problem with acknowledging that there is a difference between them and biological women. It's just a matter of fact. Now again, I say none of this to be insulting. I say none of this to be inflammatory, but I think being trans is its own category. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to comment, which it definitely does help, please just leave a knife, because you know that somebody is going to come for my neck on this one. This has been Ty Rivera, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world.